So now let's talk about the cause of mental illness. Although the exact cause of the most mental illness is not known, it's becoming clear through research that many of these conditions are caused by a combination of biological, psychological, and environmental factors. Let's see more about biological factors. Some mental illness have been linked to abnormal functioning of a nerve cells, circuits, or pathways that connect particular brain regions. Nerve cells within these brain circuits communicate through chemicals called neurotransmitters. Tweaking these chemicals through medicine, psychotherapy, or other medical procedures can help brain circuits run more efficiently. In addition, defects in or injury to certain areas of the brain have also been linked to some mental conditions. Other biological factors that may be involved in the development of mental illness include genetics, uh, infections, brain defects or injury, parental damage, and other factors too. So, when we say genetics or hereditary, mental illness sometimes run in families, suggesting that people who have a family member with a mental illness may be somewhat more likely to develop one on themselves. Susceptibility is passed on in families throughout genes. Experts believe many mental illness are linked to abnormalities in many genes rather than just one or a few, and that how these genes interact with the environment is unique for every person, even identical twins. That is why a person inherits a susceptibility to a mental illness and does not necessarily develop an illness. Mental illness itself occurs from the interaction of multiple genes and other factors such as stress, abuse, or traumatic events, which can influence or trigger an illness in a person who has inherited susceptibility to it. So, the second one that I mentioned is infections. Certain infections have been linked to brain damage and the development of mental illness or the worsening of its symptoms. For example, a condition known as a pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder, or also known as PANDAS, associated with the bacteria, has been linked to the development of obsessive compulsive disorder and other mental illness in children. So the third one that I mentioned is brain defects or injury. Defects in or injury to certain areas of the brain have also been linked to some mental illness. The fourth one is perinatal damage. Some evidence suggests that disruption of early fetal brain development or trauma that occurs at the time of birth, for example, loss of oxygen to the brain, may be a factor in the development of certain conditions, such as autism spectrum disorder. The fifth one that I mentioned is substance abuse. Long-term substance abuse in particular has been linked to anxiety, depression, and paranoia. The sixth is others factors. Poor nutrition and exposure to toxins such as lead may help a role in the development of mental illness. The NIMH suggests that genetic family history can increase the likelihood of mental health conditions, as certain genes and gene variants put a person at a high risk. However, many other factors contribute to the development of these disorders. Having a gene with links to a mental health disorder such as depression or schizophrenia does not guarantee that a condition will develop. Likewise, people without related genes or a family history of a mental illness can still have mental illness issues. Mental health conditions as stress, depression, and anxiety may develop due to underlying life-changing physical health problems such as cancer, diabetes, and chronic pains.
Make sure you like this video and subscribe.